All right, here we go. Back at it again, getting set for the week. And this weekend, mainly Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Really good stakes action. We're about 30 days away from Breeders' Cup World Championship, so things are starting to ramp up, and it's time for you to really take notes, right? Use your memory bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have the information, it's been given to you, tips, tools, tricks, all that stuff. So now we start putting it all together. One thing before we get started with this weekend's action, last weekend, things were okay. And not as great as it could have been, but we got a couple of winners, and we're okay with that. One thing, though, we had our guy, Giovanni Franco, who had one mount over the weekend, I think, at Santa Anita, and he won. And it was a nice performance, nice price. One person commented that I didn't give you the heads up on that. Hey, man, I can't do that. I can't be responsible for every single time our money guy rides. I gave you the information that says you need to watch out for these 5 riders, right? Luis Saez, Fernando de la Cruz, Johnny Velasquez, Giovanni Franco was in there, and I forgot who the 5th one was. But my point is that once I gave you those names, it's up to you to kind of remember that, all right? So next time you see Giovanni Franco, he doesn't have many mounts, so just look for him, and when you see him, take a second look, all right? And we're in this together, so if you have some questions or suggestions, go ahead and put them down there in the comments, all right? Let's get down to business. We got to get set because there's a really nice 2-year-old race coming up on the turf course. And that race is the Grade 2 Pilgrim. And that's going to be Friday, the Belmont at Aqueduct meeting, 1.16 miles on the turf course. There's 2-year-olds in here, man. It's a field of 11 runners. And the thing about this race is, I feel like there's probably going to be a couple of scratches. But even with that, there's still a little bit of everything. You've got horses that are stretching out from sprinting. You've got horses that have already shown some sprinting ability or some speed going a route of ground. But I feel like the horse that might have the pace advantage is Baytown Dreamer. And Baytown Dreamer is number 7. And we've seen Ben Curtis already, a young rider who's done a great job being assertive on the front end. He tried to do it last time out in that race at Kentucky Downs. Jumped out there on the front end. And you see that he's been able to do it in the past. Baytown Dreamer, that is, not necessarily Ben Curtis. But together with those bullet workouts, I think they have the pace advantage. They won't be alone, but they should be first out. Right? And then they've got this horse that's interesting. Noble Dynasty. Horse that has shown the ability to sit, and that's super important going a route of ground. The debut going a mile, sat off the pace, almost won. Came back going a mile and a 16th and sat just off the pace and able to win. So that horse is going to be sitting just off the speed of Baytown Dreamer and another maybe 2 or 3 horses that have some early speed. But I think Noble Dynasty should get that perfect trip in that position, right? And then you have the horses that I think are kind of, they're tricky because if you look at their performances, you're probably thinking, hey, they're sitting on a big performance. But horses like Here's Johnny, and I know he's only 2 years old, only had 3 starts, but he could end up being kind of a, how do I describe it? Kind of a final gambit publisher kind of horse, where they're always there, but they don't quite seal the deal, right? And so Here's Johnny's already kind of on the way where they should have broken the maiden in that second start. Didn't get it done, so they went to a stakes race. Ran well and then with anticipation, but they're still second best. I don't know if that horse is good enough to win this race, but I suspect that they'll get some play. And if they do get some play, it won't be from me. That is for sure. So you've got a runner like that that's going to be sitting just off the pace. And I think because of their performances, this horse is going to take some money. Then you've got, of course, Baytown Dreamer is going to be out there on the front end, right? You got a couple of other horses that are stretching out and showing some speed. So I think there's enough of everything. Even if we get a couple of scratches, the way this horse performed in his debut is the reason why I like him. He's probably going to be the favorite, although I think that Chad Brown's horse will end up being the favorite. And so I feel like this horse, for Miguel Clement, Botas, is my selection. I mean, first off, look at that speed figure, that pace form figure for late. That means 126. Nice closing kick. Now, look, in that debut, there was only a field of 6 horses. And so being 7 lengths off of a pace with 6 horses, it's not as challenging to run them down because you don't have as much traffic. So now you're going to have 10 other horses in this race if no one scratches on Friday. That might make it a bit more difficult for Manny Franco to maneuver and get to the leaders. But because there are more horses, there should be a bit more pace to run at. So I don't think Botas will be the favorite, and that's why I'm going to go with the horse. I think that they're going to be in a good spot. I think they're going to have plenty of chances to run them down. And I think that Capital Partner, the Chad Brown horse with Dylan Davis riding, I think they'll probably end up being the favorite. So our pick, the 4 Botas, will be, I can't tell you exactly the price, but how about this? It's going to be good enough, all right? So there we go. That's the number 4 horse in the Pilgrim coming up on Friday. That is the first of a nice long weekend. We're going to be covering, I do believe we have about 4 races coming up on Saturday from the meeting there, Belmont at Aqueduct. Plus we've got action coming up from Santa Anita as well. And so we'll be able to take a look at all those races and get you set. So we'll see you Wednesday show, Thursday show, and Friday and Saturday to keep you going all the way through the weekend. Hey, you got to pay attention. Even if there are plenty of people out there like me who have tips and advice, and even if we're not right picking our winners, remember, this is really important. And I've always said this, and you can do whatever you want, but this is my take. The information is what matters. Winners, that's the byproduct of good research, good information, and then you have to have a lot of racing luck. And you know racing luck is the hardest thing to come by. But it's the information that we're giving, and you're supposed to kind of take it all in and then think about it. Like I've always said this in my 20-some-odd years on television, don't sit around like a bunch of baby birds waiting for us to regurgitate the winners into your mouth for you. Go out and do your own hunting. All right? We've given you the tools. Let's all hunt together. All right? That'll do it for us. In the meantime, in between time, until next time here on Horse Race Bets, I'm Ken Rudolph. Hey, good luck and enjoy whatever you're into.